Państwu, nazywam się Kamiński. Witam serdecznie w moim teatrze, czyli w Kamienicy. Witam. Drodzy Państwo, dosłownie 2 zdania na temat tego teatru. Powstał 5 lat temu, powstał z marzenia. Pani to pięknie mówiła o energii. Byłem normalnym aktorem, drodzy Państwo. Czekałem na telefon, kiedy mnie ktoś zaangażuje, a wreszcie postanowiłem wziąć swój los w swoje ręce i powstał teatr. Nie było to łatwe, drodzy Państwo, ale dzięki energii i pomocy wielu ludzi teatr powstał. Jest takim bardzo warszawskim teatrem. Kamienica mówią, że to jest więcej niż teatr. I rzeczywiście, drodzy Państwo, oprócz spektakli mamy takie spotkania, jak tutaj mamy dużo działań społecznych, ale drodzy Państwo, ja nie jestem od tego, jestem od przeczytania aforyzmów. A właściwie przypowieści, drodzy Państwo. Pierwsza przypowieść jest o Pablu Picassie, ma tytuł Wytrwałość. Któregoś dnia w atelier znanego artysty Pabla Picassa pojawił się pewien młody człowiek i nie zwlekając przeszedł do rzeczy. Chciałbym się od pana uczyć. Ile czasu muszę poświęcić, żeby stać się tak wielkim artystą jak pan? Co najmniej 10 lat, odpowiedział Picasso. Co? 10 lat? Młodzieniec zareagował złością. Tak długo? Wiesz co? Odpowiedział Picasso. Niech będzie 20 lat. Jest pan pewien? Nie bardzo mi się to podoba, niecierpliwie odrzekł młody człowiek. Picasso odwrócił się do niego i po prostu powiedział: mnie zabrało to całe życie. Dziękuję Państwu.
Szanowni Państwo, podczas dzisiejszego spotkania będziemy przyglądać się e-learningowi z 3 perspektyw. Od strony potrzeb człowieka, od strony możliwości technologicznych oraz potrzeb i realiów biznesu. Czyli człowiek, biznes, technologie. Takie mamy 3 bloki na dzisiaj. Przypowieścią o Picassie rozpoczęliśmy część człowiek. Osiągnięcie mistrzostwa zajmuje dużo czasu. Czasem całe życie. Czy mistrzostwo, bycie wirtuozem jest tego warte? Czy jest warte tego codziennego wysiłku, podnoszenia się po porażkach, rozpoczynania od nowa? Czy chcesz być wirtuozem, mistrzem w swojej dziedzinie? I jeśli tak, to czy jesteś gotowy zrobić wszystko, co jest potrzebne, żeby zostać mistrzem? Na to pytanie każdy z nas musi odpowiedzieć sobie sam. Serdecznie zapraszam na część człowiek, którą rozpocznie Bruno Rouffaer, ale zanim jeszcze zapowiem Bruno, chciałabym taka informacja technologiczno-organizacyjna, żeby działało Państwu tłumaczenie na język polski. Musicie Państwo przycisnąć ten główny guzik i potem po prawej stronie przycisnąć tak, żeby na tym monitorku wyświetlała się 1. Na kanale 1 jest tłumaczenie na język polski. And for English speaking, if you want translation to work into English, you have to push this button, and then push this button, so you would have the channel 2 on the pilot. And on the other side you have a volume, so you can regulate everything. I po drugiej stronie jeszcze, proszę Państwa, jest regulacja głośności, także też można sobie to dowolnie regulować. I teraz zapraszam na prezentację Bruno Rouffaer, który jest ekspertem SEKA.edu w obszarze 5 pokoleń pracujących razem, Workplace 2020, przywództwo przyszłości. Ma 25-letnie doświadczenie w pracy z kadrą zarządzającą. Jest głównym prelegentem wielu międzynarodowych konferencji, Kongres Kadry, ASTD, Forum Edu Business, dzisiaj e-learning day. Jest też autorem książki No Way, Big Bad Boss Era is Over. Oprócz licznych projektów zawodowych angażuje się w walkę z AIDS w prowincji KwaZulu-Natal w RPA. Bruno opowie Państwu dzisiaj o 5 pokoleniach w krainie e-learningu. Bardzo proszę o włączenie prezentacji Bruno. Bruno, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Shall we stop learning? No, you want to learn. So we're going to learn about the new age. I'm going to tell you something what I see that's going to happen in the next future. You will learn a lot today about the new ways of learning in the future, but I do believe that learning as it is today is dead, and I will tell you why. Yes, it's working. I love it. So you remember the good old days? Who was in that kind of schools in the past? Where are the old guys of 60 years old here in the room? You remember this? I remember that. You remember that? Yes, we went with the big bags on our shoulders, and we went to the school full of books, Today, I see children just with an iPad going to school, if they go to school. That's something else. So I think it's going to be finished, and I think that we're going to have a complete new world, because like Sir Robinson says, I suppose everybody knows Sir Robinson, and he's a very, very nice speaker. If you go to YouTube, please watch his YouTube movies about education. But he's right. He says we kill creativity during our education. I remember when my daughter was 3 years old, she was a small girl, and she came to home and she was crying, and she said, "Daddy, we have a problem." I said, "What's the problem?" The problem is that she read drawings, and in the classroom at 3 years old, they received these drawings with these printed drawers on it. You remember that? And they had colors. And so she was coloring all that stuff. So she was learning to color. And she came home and she showed me the picture, and the teacher put in red, "You didn't stick between the lines." I said, "Fuck." Not to my daughter, but I went with my daughter, I went to the teacher and I said, "How is it possible that this paradigm you have in your head is always the same? People have to stick within the limits." And I am somebody who says, get out of the limits. So stop thinking in paradigms, and I can follow Sir Robinson. What is also important to know is that when you see all these children, they have these books in front of them. Now just transform your mind and see a classroom filled with laptops, with iPads, with iPhones, and children are just twittering and using all these kind of new learning systems to become knowledgeable people, because today the knowledge is available everywhere. 24 hours on 24 hours, second by second, nanosecond by nanosecond, you can find all information, all knowledge on internet. So I think it's going to be important that at this point we appear to have a 19th century curriculum in our classrooms. Secondly, 20th century building and organizations. Look at the buildings of our schools. Even if it's in Poland, or it's in Belgium, or even in Peru where I work, I see these classrooms and I get so frustrated. I need antidepressiva. Because the teacher is still in the front of the classroom and you do know nothing. I know everything. That's the teaching of today. This is going to change because the children are asking much more questions about why and how do you see that? Remember yourself when you were a kid. When you were a kid, you asked your father and your mother all the time, why do I have to do this, and what this, and why this, and we get nuts. But today, still in schools, teachers are the big knowledge guys, and the young guys are just the stupid ones. So I think that's going to be changed. Let's look a bit further. A tale of two classrooms. Remember, this is the old one. This is for the robots. The teachers knows everything. Mistakes, wow, you get red stripes. Teacher questions, kids are listening, goal is good grades, memorize facts, finish pages, one size fits all, rules enforced. That is the actual system of learning. On the other hand, the great kids, teachers are learners, mistakes is learning, kids question, kids think, goal is learning, solve problems, create, and one size fits each, rules are unnecessary. That is going to be the shift in the coming century. In the coming decades, I see a complete shift out from the classrooms and where kids can study wherever they were, wherever they are. Learning in the 21st century is learning about any subject, at any time, at any place, in any format, and at any price. Any questions? That's going to be the future of learning. And e-learning will sustain that kind of learning, of course. So if you don't have these e-learning systems, if you're not ready to work in this kind of way, then you're lost, especially in companies. And especially also because these young generations, and I'll show you some movie, and I hope the sound is working, but if it's not working, just please look at the images of the YouTube film. It's very, very nice to see what is going to happen in the next future. So let's go a bit on. The 2020 workplace will be an organizational environment that provides an intensively personalized social experience to attract, very important, to attract, to develop, and engage employees across all generations and geographics. I think it's going to be important that everybody who is working in companies, from the traditional generations to the young generations, will have their learning systems. Don't think that e-learning is the only solution, because the old generations don't know these kind of things. They don't like to work with iPads. They still want the classic classroom studies, of course, but the younger guys don't want it in that way. So the learning systems will be different on different levels. Now this is very important. I don't know if you know John Searle Brown. John Searle Brown was the chief scientist of Xerox. He's now one of the big learning elements, and I just brought a book with me. If you want later on, please ask me for the title. This is a very, very good book. It's called A New Culture of Learning, and it's written by Douglas Thomas and together with John Searle. It's a great, great, great book about what the evolution will be about e-learning in the future. And I think it's going to be very important that we can make a shift from the knowledge transfer, which is the first one, the Homo sapiens. You are Homo sapiens and I am an Homo sapiens. Sapiens means knowing, okay? But you also need the father, the Homo father. It's like what Sally said. It's not about teaching stuff and knowledge transfer. It's about changing a behavior of somebody. And that is very important. So you have to learn how to do it. But very important is the playing, is the Homo ludens. Remember yourself when you were young. What did you do when you were a half-year-old? What was the first stuff you get as a child? You get tools to play with. You didn't get books, you get tools to play with. Blocks, Lego blocks, whatsoever. Who played Monopoly with his family? Raise your hand. Who plays Scrabble? Right. Who have been reading some books about what's the name again? Harry Potter? Who wrote the books of Harry Potter? You! You still remember the Harry Potter books? Who went on internet and blogging and FaceTiming with all his friends about the Harry Potter books? Who did? Oh, you're the honest one. All these other ones are old ones. But that is the learning system. If you ask generation which are now about 30 years old and you ask them about Harry Potter, they can tell you a lot of stories about Harry Potter because they communicated with their friends in schools and whatsoever. So the social learning was a very important element when we are young. And the more we grow old, the more the system is narrowing our minds in transferring knowledge. And that's the contradiction today in this new century, in the 21st century, is that the knowledge is available. So we don't have to teach knowledge anymore. We have to teach how to get the knowledge. And that is the most important element. So I'm a really believer in what John says. It's about the triangle of these three elements going together. So the more you use plays, the more you use games in your learning, the more you will see that people will adapt and will accept and change their behavior. So the gamification of learning systems in the future, in my opinion, will be very important. So who knows the war of the war of the car craft? What is it called again? This game on the internet? The War of Warcraft. Who knows that game? Who is playing that game with more than 20 people on internet? Who? Yes, you see, there is two I see two people who are very social, communicating with other people all over the world. It's a learning system. And I think it will be necessary in the future. So I believe that if you go to internet and you Google in Wikipedia, for example. Oh, you know about Wikipedia? Who knows about Wikipedia? Some people do not know about You know about Wikipedia? Yes? You know the difference between Wikipedia and the Encyclopedia Britannica? Who still has the Encyclopedia Britannica in his house? You know, all these volumes. I had them when I was young. I saw my father buying it. And those books were standing in our library. And I said, wow, my father is very intelligent. And then I tried to take one volume, open it, and I said, uh-oh, who has written this? No track of records. How many mistakes are there in the encyclopedia? I couldn't trace. Today with Wikipedia, you can trace everything. You can trace who has written it, and you know, constantly Wikipedia Encyclopedia is moved up and changed by everybody in the world. That's a new learning system, and we have to adapt to that. So I think that, like Pat Kane says, it will be about play, explore, learn, and grow. I think that's a very important issue. Let's move on. So, if we don't change, what will happen? I think we have a lot of problems in Europe. This is the slide of the generations in Europe. And if you look at it, you can see that we are having a big problem concerning education and talent development in our companies. Because today there are not enough children to replace the workforce in Europe. We have 500 million people working in Europe. No, living people in Europe. Part of them are working. But what we do know is that it's a mushroom. You see? Oh yes, the light green are the aboriginals of Europe. The white guys, we. Okay, the white guys. All the rest is emigration and immigration. So what you're also going to face in your companies is a multiculturalization of learning. So you have to adapt also your systems to other kind of cultures. And that's going to be very important. Playing is also adding culture to people. It's not the way around. It's not culture which is giving playing, but playing is learning culture. And that is very important. So I think that in the next future, if you have a good company, you have to adapt your learning systems to attract those people. Because we know from studies that people will leave companies because of the big bad boss. People join companies, but they leave bosses, correct? So if you have these chicken bosses, like Sally says, then you have a problem. So we need to develop these peaks, all right? So it's going to be very important that you really have this kind of change in the mindset of companies. Otherwise, you will lose your talents, and instead you have to develop them. So the generations. We have today, for the first time in history, we have in economical history of the last, let's say, 150 years, we have the 5 generations working in the workplace. All right? So you have the young coming in, 16, 17 years old maybe already, 18 years, then you have the 20s, you have the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. Now please, where are the traditionalists? They are born in the 50s. Please raise your hand. How many people are from the 60s? 1. Very nice. Thank you very much, madam. Please don't look at her. She's very nice, she's very beautiful, and I know her. Now, that's a traditional. Now the second one is the baby boomers. They are born in the 60s. Where are they? 50s and the end of the 50s and the 60s. Where are they? They're sitting in the back. Oh, some are in the front. Very good. Okay. Now the other one is a Generation X. They are now about between 30 and 40. Where are they? Please raise your hand. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. You know, knowledge transfer is saying how old you are, what your gender is, what your culture is. That's about being open to everybody. And then you have the Generation Y. So that's the guys who are now about 25, 35. Where are they? You see, they're all in the companies. And then you have these bloody young guys The millennials, about 20, between 15 and 20. Where are they? Is there somebody of 20 in the room? You're a liar. All right, so these 5 generations are today in our companies working, learning, having a lot of information coming in, so it's very important that you adapt all your systems to that. I take an example in France, Orange. I don't know if you know the company Orange. Yeah, they have Mobistar and all that stuff. They have a real top performing e-learning platform. When I gave my courses about strategic management, the learning officer said to me, Bruno, don't start talking about what is a SWOT analysis. Don't talk about what is management, the difference between management and leadership and all that stuff, because it's all the information is on internet. And before they come to your courses, they have to fill in a lot of tests. They have to read some articles. Before they come, they cannot enter my classroom if they didn't fill in their test, if they didn't read books or articles about all that stuff. And that is a very important issue. So if your learning system is still, people have to come to a classroom, sit in a classroom, shut up, and me, the consultant or the teacher, is the knowledge guy with the big hat. Well, it depends which kind of hat, of course, I have, because if I'm an engineer, my left brain is developed, overdeveloped. So like the Elephant Man, everybody knows the film The Elephant Man, yeah? You know, you have these engineer minds which are very left brains, but we know that kids, if you want to play with the kids, you need the right brain to be developed. And of course, most men have a big left brain, and most women have the right brain developed. So it's like Daniel Pink said in his book, and just listen to the title, The Right Brainers Will Rule the World. Ladies, the future is yours. So let's look at a small movie about these young generations, how they live and how they work. It might be that the music is not working, so I'm sorry for that. That's a technical engineer. We'll shoot him afterwards. But nevertheless, let's look at the movie and try to follow the reasoning behind the movie. I hope it's now coming. About the millenniums, there he is. So can you please start the movie from the beginning, please? I'm dying. All in the front, thank you. There we go. Please follow. Is he going on? He's stuck. He's stuck. Oh. Yes. Okay. Daily. He's stuck again. Please move. Yes, just take your mouse and stay there. Thank you. I'm now a big bad boss. That's very important. Peer learning will be very important in the future. Yes, please go on a bit. Thank you. Daily. 4 hours. Yes. YouTube. This is a learning element. YouTube is not for fun. It's not for sex. It's for learning. Well, some go for that reason to YouTube, of course, but look at this. 13 million articles on Wikipedia. 13 million articles daily. Yes, please. It's tremendous. 60 million members at professional LinkedIn. Talent people watching LinkedIn, Facebook of you if they want to recruit you. It's not about papers anymore. Yes, please, go on. Okay. You know that young people are more on Facebook daily than they are in classrooms hours? Okay? Yeah? Well, anyway, I will share the YouTube movie later on, so if you want you can get it, but it's a very nice movie, and I think it's going to be very important to see it. Thank you. We're going to the next one, and I'm nearly finished. The perfect global social media storm is in years to come. I think we're going to have a content shift worldwide. The content will shift, and it will be not anymore in the classrooms, it will not be anymore in the libraries of the universities, it will be on internet, in clouds and whatsoever. I know a guy, he's a professor of philosophy in the States, and he was very frustrated that he only had about 15-20 students in his classroom. And he said, I don't know, because I give him moral philosophy and it's a very nice topic, and I want people to learn and to see and to watch and to view. So he let cameras installed in his classroom. And you know how many students he has today? Give a figure. 1,000? More. No, not Armenian. 100,000 students following this guy daily when he's giving his lectures, because he's on the screens and I can watch him live from my home. Watch your grandparents today. When I look to grandparents in elderly houses, the new elderly houses are installing screens that the old people can watch their children where they are all over the world. So yes, the world is changing. So there is a lot of shifts. Place shift, time shift, authority shift. The teacher will not be the authority anymore in the classroom. It will be the students. It will be the pupils. So in my opinion, I think we all people are living in the world of the young people. So let's adapt and have fun. And play is the blockbuster. Namaste. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bruno.
Oh, if I can, only one thing.
Yes?
If you have a paper about the Homo sapiens, the Homo maker, and the Homo play, when you have a paper at home, who remembers that you made an airplane with paper? You remember? So you fold it, and then you made another one. And in what I'm doing is, in fact, I am using my knowledge of aerodynamica. I'm using my hands to make something, and I have fun by throwing it. Well, okay. Thank you very much.
Sorry. Thank you.